My mother-in-law slid divorce papers across the dinner table like she was passing the salt, smiling, in front of my whole family. She thought she'd humiliated me forever. She had no idea the guest walking through that door 30 seconds later would destroy her instead. Slowly, publicly, permanently. Before I tell you what happened that night, let me tell you who I am. My name's Callan Whitmore. I'm 34 years old, and for the last 3 years, I've been married to a woman named Odalis. Oda, everyone calls her. I work in construction management. Not glamorous, not flashy, but honest work. I show up, I put in the hours, I come home tired but proud. That's who I've always been. And to Bettina Marsh, my mother-in-law, that was never going to be enough. From the very beginning, Bettina made it clear I wasn't what she pictured for her daughter. She wanted someone with a title, a last name that meant something at her country club. Instead, she got me, and she never let me forget it. Little comments at first. "Oh, Callan works so hard, doesn't he?" said with a smile that never reached her eyes. Over the years, those comments became sharper, colder. I learned to just let them roll off, for Oda's sake. I loved her enough to swallow my pride at every holiday, every birthday, every Sunday brunch, where I somehow always felt like the help instead of the husband. So when Bettina called that week and said she wanted to host a family dinner, just us, her, and Reginald, my father-in-law, I should have felt something, a pull in my gut. Instead, I felt hope. Stupid, naive hope. I actually thought maybe, after 3 years, she was finally coming around. I remember getting dressed that night, straightening my collar in the mirror, and Oda coming up behind me, kissing my shoulder, saying, "See, she's trying." I wanted so badly to believe that. But 2 nights before, I'd seen something. Just a flash on Bettina's phone screen when she set it down at lunch, a name I didn't recognize, a message that made her smile in a way I'd never seen before, not warm, not kind, calculated, like she was setting something in motion. I brushed it off, told myself I was being paranoid, told myself grown women don't scheme like teenagers. Wait, I was wrong about that. So wrong. Because that dinner wasn't an olive branch, it was a trap, and I walked into it wearing my nicest shirt, holding my wife's hand, thinking the hardest part of my night would be small talk over wine. I had no idea I was about to lose everything at that table. Right before, I got it all back. Dinner started normal enough. Wine poured, small talk about the weather, about Reginald's golf game. I actually started to relax. Big mistake. Halfway through the main course, Bettina set down her fork and stood up, tapped her glass with a spoon like she was about to give a toast. "I have an announcement," she said, still smiling that smile. Then she pulled out a folder, slid it across the table, right past the bread basket, right past Oda's plate, landing in front of me. Divorce papers. Already drafted, already signed by her attorney, my name printed clean and official, like this had been decided weeks ago. "There's evidence," she said, calm as anything, "of an affair." An affair I never had, ever. Oda's face went white. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Reginald just stared at his plate, silent, useless. I tried to speak. My voice cracked. "This isn't true." Nobody believed me. Not in that room. Not in that moment. Bettina sat back down, satisfied. She thought she'd won. She had no idea what was about to walk through that door. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor, loud in that silent room. I couldn't sit there another second, couldn't breathe under the weight of everyone staring at me like some liar they'd finally caught. I grabbed my jacket. I was ready to walk out that door and never look back. Then, the doorbell rang. Nobody moved at first. Bettina's eyes flicked toward the hallway, and for just a second, just 1 second, I saw something crack in her expression. Fear. Real fear. Reginald finally got up, confused, and answered it, and in walked a woman I'd never seen in my life. Tall, silver-haired, maybe in her 60s, carrying herself like she owned the room the moment she stepped into it. She looked around the table slowly until her eyes landed on Bettina. "Hello, sister," she said. Sister. The room went dead silent. Bettina's face drained of every ounce of color. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, like she'd seen a ghost. Ingrid was the woman's name. Ingrid Calloway, Bettina's older sister, someone this family hadn't spoken of, hadn't even mentioned in over a decade. "I was invited," Ingrid said simply. Then she looked at me, nodded once. That's when it hit me. I invited her. Weeks earlier, after I'd caught that strange message on Bettina's phone, my gut told me something wasn't right, so I did some digging, found Ingrid, reached out. I had no idea, sitting in my car that night, writing her a message, that it would lead to this, to her walking through that door at the exact moment I needed her most. Bettina looked around the table, searching for control she no longer had. She'd already lost it. Ingrid didn't waste time with pleasantries. She set her bag down on the table, right next to Bettina's precious folder, and pulled out papers of her own. "You want to talk about evidence? Let's talk about evidence."
She laid it all out. Proof that the private investigator Bettina hired had been paid to fabricate the entire affair story. Emails, bank transfers, a signed statement. Oda's hands were shaking. "Mom, is this true?" Bettina tried to laugh it off. "This is ridiculous, Ingrid. I've always what?" Cut her off, voice sharp now. "Always known what you're capable of? Because you did this before, to my daughter's marriage, 15 years ago. Same lies, same fake evidence. You destroyed her family for sport, and everyone just buried it." The table erupted. Oda stood up, staring at her mother like she was seeing a stranger. "How could you do this to us?" Reginald, silent for years, finally found his voice. "Bettina, enough! Enough!" Bettina lunged for the folder, desperate now, trying to grab the fake papers off the table like she could still make this disappear. Ingrid stepped in front of her, blocking her path. "You don't get to rewrite this one," Ingrid said quietly. I watched my mother-in-law, a woman who'd humiliated me for 3 years, finally crumble in front of everyone she'd ever tried to impress. She had nothing left to hide behind. Nobody said anything for a long moment, just the sound of Oda crying quietly beside me, and Bettina standing there, exposed, small somehow, in a way I'd never seen her before. Reginald walked over to Oda first, put his hand on her shoulder. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have said something years ago, about all of it." His voice broke on that last part. Ingrid gathered her papers, calm now, like she'd been carrying this weight for 15 years and had finally set it down. "I didn't come here for revenge," she told the room. "I came here because I watched history repeat itself, and I couldn't stay quiet twice." Bettina reached for Oda's arm. "Sweetheart, please, let me explain." Oda pulled away. "There's nothing to explain, Mom. I finally understand everything." I stood there, still holding my jacket, still half ready to walk out that door minutes ago, except now, I didn't need to. Oda took my hand instead, laced her fingers through mine, tight. We left together, just the two of us, walking out into the cold night air, leaving that table, that folder, and that version of our family behind us for good. Months passed. I wish I could tell you Bettina came around, apologized, tried to make things right. She didn't. Word got out, quietly, the way these things always do. Her friends heard about the fake investigator, her sister's story, the daughter's marriage she'd destroyed years before. One by one, invitations stopped coming. Phone calls went unanswered. The woman who once ruled every room she walked into started walking into empty ones. Reginald finally left her 4 months later, said he'd been wanting to a decade, just never had the courage. Now he does.
Oda and I, we're stronger than we've ever been. No more Sunday brunches where I felt like an outsider in my own marriage. No more swallowing my pride to keep the peace. Just us, building the life we always wanted without anyone's shadow hanging over it. I think about that night sometimes, how close I came to walking out that door believing I'd lost everything. Funny how life works. Sometimes the thing that breaks you is the same thing that finally sets you free. If you made it this far, you already know. Karma doesn't forget, it just takes its time. Hit like, subscribe, and tell me, would you have done the same thing?